All right, today we're going on a kind of hero's journey, but it's not about slaying dragons or crossing distant lands. Nope, this journey is through the inner landscape of your own mind. We're going to use an ancient Buddhist map to chart a course from the everyday chaos of our thoughts to a place of real, profound clarity.
And it all really kicks off with this one simple question. Just think about it for a second. Is your mind a tool that you're in control of? Or does it feel more like a wild animal, just dragging you all over the place through endless loops of worry and distraction and constant commentary? You know, for most of us, if we're being honest, it's the second one. And that's exactly where our journey begins.
But look, before we can find a new path forward, we have to get really clear about the one we're already on. So our first stop is to map out this vicious cycle that keeps our minds spinning. A cycle that, for the most part, runs completely on autopilot, way beneath our conscious radar.
Now there's an ancient Pali word for this whole mess. It's called papancha. You can think of it as mental proliferation. And it's not just regular thinking. Oh no. It's the mind's relentless, almost compulsive habit of taking one single simple experience and just blowing it up into this huge, complicated, tangled story that's always starring me, my, and mine. This right here, this is the engine of all our inner chaos.
So how does this actually work in real life? Well, it happens in a flash, but let's slow it way down. It all starts with simple contact. Let's say you see a new email from your boss pop up. Instantly, a feeling arises, maybe just a little flicker of unpleasantness. Then, perception jumps in and slaps a label on it. Uh-oh, work email. Next, thinking kicks into gear. This is probably about that report I submitted. And then, boom, proliferation. Suddenly, you're not just looking at an email anymore. You're spinning out entire stories about getting fired, you're reliving past mistakes, you're already planning your defense for a meeting that hasn't even been scheduled. See, a single pixel on a screen has just become a full-blown internal drama.
And what's the end result of living in this constant state of mental spinning? Well, the ancient texts identified a whole laundry list of what they called mental impurities or defilements that grow out of it. We're talking about things like holding a grudge, envy, deceit, arrogance. These aren't just abstract ideas, right? They are the actual texture of our daily suffering. And they're all born from that spinning, untrained mind.
Okay, so that's the problem. And yeah, it sounds a little grim, I know, but here's the really good news. There is a clear, well-worn path out of this cycle. It's a practical, hands-on toolkit for retraining the mind, and it's known as the triple training.
Now, the crucial thing to get here is that this isn't some magic trick. It's a systematic training program in 3 interconnected parts. First, we work on our behavior, or sila. This is all about simplifying our lives, cutting down on the external drama, and creating a stable, solid foundation to stand on. From that stable ground, we can then develop concentration, or samāpatti. This is where we learn to hold our attention steady and finally calm that inner storm. And only then, with a calm and concentrated mind, can we cultivate true wisdom, or pañña, which is about seeing directly for ourselves how our minds work so we can diffuse those harmful loops right at the source.
The real heart of this training, especially that second step of concentration, is often described with this really powerful metaphor. It's the active, hands-on work of taming the wild energy of the mind, kind of like taming an inner bull.
And this metaphor, it just perfectly captures the difference. An untrained mind, it's like that wild bull yoked to a chariot, just scattering your energy to the winds, dragging you down any random path it feels like. But a trained mind, through the practice of concentration, well, that's like the same bull tied to a strong, sturdy post. Sure, it might struggle and pull at first, but eventually it calms down. It finds peace right there where it is. And that post, that's our object of meditation, like the feeling of the breath.
Now, this next part might be a bit of a surprise. I think we often imagine meditation as this grim, joyless struggle, a real grind. But as the great meditation master Ayya Khema points out, that's a total misunderstanding. Joy isn't just a possible reward at the end of concentration, it's a necessary ingredient to even get there. We have to find some sense of ease, even appreciation, for the practice itself. That feeling of joy is actually the fuel that helps us stay focused.
So where is this whole journey heading? What's the ultimate destination? What happens when the mind is finally free from that vicious cycle? It becomes what's called a mind unbound. And what's absolutely fascinating is that modern science is now starting to map out exactly what this looks like inside our own brains.
And make no mistake about it, this isn't just some philosophical concept or a nice feeling. This mental training, this path of behavior, concentration, and wisdom, it literally, physically rewires the structure of your brain.
Neuroscientists can actually see these changes on brain scans. They see a lot less activity in what's called the default mode network. You could think of that as the brain's me story generator, the part that's always chattering on about itself. They see spikes in high-frequency gamma waves, which are linked to those aha moments of insight and heightened awareness. Basically, the brain's pathways for focus get stronger, and our ability to regulate our emotions improves dramatically. It's like the ancient map is being validated by our most modern tools.
So experientially, what does this liberated state actually feel like? Well, it's the end of that compulsive wanting, that craving. It's the suspension of papancha, that endless, runaway mental storytelling we started with. And in its place, you find this profound sense of equanimity, a deep balance that isn't so easily shaken by the ups and downs of life.
You know, there's this famous story where the Buddha confronts this notorious murderer named Angulimala. The bandit is chasing him, screaming at him to stop, and the Buddha just calmly turns and says, "I have stopped, Angulimala. You stop too." What he meant was he had stopped creating the causes of suffering. He had stopped running in that vicious cycle. And that really leaves us with the final question, the one to take with you. What would it mean for you to truly stop running?